The Fall of Jericho. After crossing the Jordan River into the Promised Land, the Israelites faced their first major challenge, the fortified city of Jericho. Jericho was known for its strong walls, and its defeat was crucial for the Israelites as they began their conquest of Canaan. God gave Joshua specific and unusual instructions on how to conquer the city. The Lord said to Joshua, "See, I have delivered Jericho into your hands, along with its king and its fighting men. March around the city once with all the armed men. Do this for 6 days. Have 7 priests carry trumpets of ram's horns in front of the ark. On the 7th day, march around the city 7 times, with the priests blowing the trumpets. When you hear them sound a long blast on the trumpets, have the whole army give a loud shout. Then the wall of the city will collapse, and the army will go up, everyone straight in." Joshua 6 verses 2-5. Joshua relayed these instructions to the people. For 6 days, the Israelites marched around the city once each day in silence, with the priests blowing their trumpets and carrying the Ark of the Covenant, a symbol of God's presence among them. The people followed Joshua's orders precisely, even though it must have seemed strange to them to march around the city without attacking. Joshua 6 verses 6-14. On the 7th day, they rose at dawn and marched around the city 7 times, as God had commanded. On the 7th time around, when the priests sounded the trumpet blast, Joshua commanded the army, "Shout, for the Lord has given you the city." Joshua 6 verses 15-16. When the people shouted, the walls of Jericho miraculously collapsed, just as God had promised. The Israelites charged straight into the city and captured it. They destroyed everything in the city: men, women, young and old, cattle, sheep, and donkeys, by the sword, as a sign of complete devotion to the Lord. Joshua 6 verses 20-21. However, Joshua had given special instructions regarding Rahab, the woman who had protected the Israelite spies when they scouted the city. He told the 2 men who had spied out Jericho to go to Rahab's house and bring her and her family out safely. Rahab and her family were spared and taken to live outside the Israelite camp, as promised. Joshua 6 verses 22-25. After the city was taken, Joshua pronounced a curse on anyone who would attempt to rebuild Jericho, saying that the person would lose his firstborn and youngest sons during the rebuilding process. The Lord was with Joshua, and his fame spread throughout the land. Joshua 6 verses 26-27. Reflect on the story of the fall of Jericho. What does this story teach you about the power of obedience, faith, and trusting in God's plan, even when it seems unconventional? How do you respond when God asks you to do something that doesn't make sense from a human perspective? Write about how this story impacts your understanding of God's power and your willingness to follow His guidance in challenging situations.